YouTube, and welcome back to the MRC channel. Taylor Morehouse back with you again. And first things first, you might notice that the audio on this video is a little more consistent. Trying out some new audio equipment today. It should be better than it was before on my phone. The audio would kind of come and go, loud, soft, and I wasn't real happy with that. Now, this isn't real expensive audio equipment, so it's still probably not going to be great, but I thought, see how it works and then maybe upgrade here down the road. So if you look to my left, and you're looking kind of hard back there, and if you're able to read the heading on the video, you'll see that I indeed bought a dyno. And it's pretty exciting. I'm excited. It's a Dynomite chassis dyno. It's a 2400 eddy current chassis dyno. So what it is essentially is it's a inertia dyno that has a eddy current brake on it. So you can do a lot more things with it than just your standard like rolling road or your chassis dyno. So that's pretty cool, and it also will handle a lot more power than a normal chassis dyno. So this one's rated for 2400 wheel horsepower, and it's kind of neat. It's got machined traction grooves in the rollers. It's not just knurled. So supposedly you can put down huge amounts of power on this dyno without too much tire slip. So that's pretty exciting. It will do so many things as far as testing is concerned. It'll do sweep tests, step tests, steady state dyno tuning because it does have an eddy brake on it. And then it does this thing called road simulation tuning where you can enter the vehicle's weight and it will simulate driving that car on the road. So it'll put enough load behind that roller to make it exactly like it would be on the road. And from there, you can actually program in hills at different slopes and lengths and how many laps you want to do. So you can program 5 hills in with varying slopes, and it will run the dyno through the simulation so you can actually get the car really dialed in without actually driving it out on the road. The other kind of neat thing I like about it is the control box. Actually, you can switch it from auto or computer controlled to manual. So you can switch it to a knob load control, which I haven't used yet, but I'm thinking it could come in handy to sort of load up the engine in ways that is kind of too hard to do on the computer, which should allow you to do pretty much anything. It's basically infinitely endless. There's a lot of things you can do with the software that I don't even know yet. And that probably brings me to the hardest part about buying a dyno is setting up the software. The manual is 1,600 pages long, and it's pretty much all useful. Reading through it, it's all pretty intense, but if you understand electronics and if you understand how software works and what you're trying to do, it is something that I was able to set up on my own without having to hire somebody. So that was pretty fun actually to set that up and see how a dyno is actually configured to produce numbers. Now this dyno, from what I understand, is going to be somewhere right in between the Dynojet and the Mustang. It's certified horsepower, and I don't know exactly what that means, but it is all corrected horsepower. It's got its own weather station. This dyno also has a data logger on it. You can log 28 channels. It's got EGT inputs, dual wideband controller, came with the widebands. See, it's got a bunch of other inputs that you can wire in for any reason, and it will data log it. So that's pretty cool, especially if you got something that's carbureted and you're not really able to data log anything from a carbureted vehicle. So that's pretty cool. So the reason why I ended up with this dyno is kind of a long story. I was very interested in the last few years in a mainline hub dyno, the Pro Hub, and I wanted that because tire slip is obviously an issue on chassis dynos. So I really wanted a hub dyno, also for the reason that you can roll them out of the way when you're done, and it doesn't really take anything to mount to the floor other than a few D-rings to strap the car down the front of the car so it doesn't wheelie. Other than that, they're pretty portable. So I tried hard around Black Friday to buy a Pro Hub dyno, but it's really difficult because the bank wants the dyno to be here because then it can be a secured loan. Well, a $70,000 unsecured loan is pretty difficult to get for anybody, let alone me with one income and, you know, mortgage payment on top of it and all that. So it didn't end up working out. And what I did then was go on Racing Junk, the classified website, and I found this one. It's used but new. Someone else had bought it new and they never actually used it. And so I got a really good deal. She got a good deal. She was trying to sell it and try to recoup some money. And it ended up working out really good for everyone. And then I also had a friend out in Washington. The dyno is in Oregon, and he runs a transport business, and he was able to help me out and bring it back. So that was awesome. It worked out really good. I had some friends then that were part of the whole deal of me getting my dream piece of equipment, which was a dyno. So it was all really neat. It worked out really good. And when I got it, I had to pretty much set up everything, even mechanically, because it was that new. So that was fun to learn how to set the dyno up. So now I pretty much know it inside and out, which is probably going to be beneficial someday. So when switching to the chassis dyno from the hub dyno that I had planned, there are some things, some issues, or some things I had to overcome or figure out. Number one on a dyno like this is it's really set up to be in the ground. And then, of course, you just drive over the roller and you strap the car down from the concrete and you're good to go. But I have floor heat in here, so it's kind of hard for me to do that. So what I ended up doing was sticking the dyno on top and bolting it down. And I built a steel structure off the back, and there's D-rings welded to that. And this allows you to strap the car down, and it's all one unit. And then you've got to get the car up on top of it. And that was going to require some ramps. So I thought, well, I'll just buy some steel ramps. Well, you can, but steel ramps are $3,000 plus. And so then it was maybe a 4-post lift. But again, you're talking about a few $1,000s and some more room. So for me to get going as soon as I could to start learning how to use the dyno, I built these wooden ramps for $300. So not too bad. They work really well. They worked the first time that I backed the Supra up on it. So really happy with how that turned out. It's something temporary. I will be getting a lift, but it does work really well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Vehicle cooling was another thing I didn't really have figured out at the time. A couple attic fans got sent with the dyno, and they're probably better than nothing, but they don't direct the airflow enough. I found out to really like steady state tune a car. So I got 2 of the big carpet dryer fans that really direct it on the bottom, and they are 5,000 CFM each. I got 2 of them. So I have 10,000 CFM of airflow. It's the biggest ones you can buy on 120 volt. They're 1 1/3 horsepower each. So pretty big fans. They blow a lot of air. So I'm hoping they're going to pretty much solve that issue. But by far and away, the worst issue that I've come across that I haven't got figured out yet is the exhaust ventilation. It gets pretty fuming here, as you could imagine, running a car, especially at full throttle. So I've got a fan hooked up to the window right now to help extract all that exhaust fume, exhaust gas, but it's still not great. Still have to wear a respirator mask. Most shops that build a dyno from scratch, dyno cell, they are going to have an exhaust ventilation system put in with an exhaust pump and everything, but you're talking about a few $1,000 again. So I haven't done that yet. I'm just going to try to keep kind of thinking outside the box to come up with something. All my solutions now haven't worked yet, but I should be able to come up with something. So, and lastly, the Supra, which is on here now, is about to be taken back off the dyno for an unfortunate reason, which I'll get to in the next video. But I had a little issue with running pump gas on this thing, and we will go into that in detail in the next video because I learned something on this car, the first car that was on the dyno, and I learned a lot actually from it being on the dyno. So I'm pretty excited to share that with you guys, and I'm also excited to demonstrate some things on the dyno for some content on YouTube. So if you guys like this video and like the channel, and if you are especially looking forward to what might be coming up in the future, please hit that subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it, and I will keep trying to make videos when I can. You know, I sort of fell away from it again, but been really busy, obviously, trying to get ducks in a row to buy a dyno myself. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Thanks for staying tuned in, and check out the next video where I go into detail on the Supra, on the dyno, and some things that I found out about wastegates and turbo sizing and that sort of thing. So thank you guys very much for watching, and have a good night. Stay tuned.